The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's Friday. TGIF.
Short week this week.
Yep, short week. We had a little holiday at the beginning. Everybody's trash got picked up a day late. And
some people get it 2 days late because of the filming over on Linden Street this week for Jungle Land. And
oh, yeah, I heard they're on Tecumseh, too.
Yeah, they're
on Tecumseh, too.
They're next to my house.
Yeah, I heard they were down there last night or something like that. And, yeah, well, you know, I guess they had they must have hired a mercenary army to protect them from the local denizens of the deep. Otherwise they would have had no camera equipment or anything left. They would have stole everything that wasn't nailed, that wasn't guarded. But, well, you know, Fall River, again, we're #1 if we're looking up from the cellar. Good luck finding a worse housing market than Fall River by the Herald News staff. Yeah, well, guess what? Tell me something we don't know. Why do you think a lot of people are still living here? They can't get rid of their house without taking a beating, because if they sell their house, they're going to sell it. You know, this is one of the only places now that the houses are depreciating, not appreciating. So you're going to take a loss on a house you put a lot of money into, and then you're going to have to go buy a house in a place where the house costs have actually appreciated and gone up. So you can't afford it, because most of the people that are still in Fall River are on fixed incomes. They're retired, or they're not making a lot of money, and they can't afford to go anywhere. That's the only reason we have any residents left in this city, because that's why, you know, and this segues directly into the Chamber of Horrors actions last night. Tourism director again being discussed. You know, I mean, people, if you don't call your city councilors and melt their phones about this kind of insanity, you really believe that somebody's going to come to a place that, number one, you know, obviously people they don't want to live here. Why would they want to visit? They won't even come here if they're visiting relatives. They'll stay out of town.
They got no choice but to stay out of town.
That's right. Basically, they have no choice. But even if they did have a choice, it wouldn't be here. You know, and we're going to get tourism. As I said, even if this city isn't number one in drug overdoses, crime, the most dangerous city in the Commonwealth, the worst housing market in the all these indicators of this is a place that most people do not want to come to. And what is the political answer to this? Tourism. Right. Even though we know that tourism doesn't cure anything in these cities, because, as an example, and we did it on the show, Miami was classified as the worst city in the United States to live in, yet it has one of the best tourist markets in the United States. So the tourism does nothing for the people who actually live there. The quality of life, the crime, everything else in there. You know, so, but again, this isn't about fixing this city. This isn't about getting people training to get jobs. This is about giving one of their friends a job and a couple of assistants and a few stipends before they roll it into their pay, which I'll get into after. But this is what it's about. You know, good luck finding a worse housing market. Good luck finding one iota of actual logical thinking in our government, in our city council, or on the 6th floor. because what they have is an employment agency for all their friends.
Well, no, here's another employment agency for your friend, because I guess they wanted 2 positions or whatever,
Yeah.
or an assistant position of a recreational facilities director.
Oh, good.
They wanted an assistant for that position. They've removed assistant. So now it's just a recreational facilities director they're going to put into ordinance.
Yeah.
What recreational facilities? You know what they passed out? Listings of the parks.
What? Yeah. Well, you know, look, we got
a park department for that.
CDA still doing rec, right? I went by Pulaski Park the other day, and it said, "Look at your CPA money at work." So it's like they've got programs, and they've always had summer programs with people. Look, this is garbage. This is to give more people pay raises, more people jobs, and more people stipends. And you know, it just never ends. And when are the people in this city going to clear this swamp and get tired of this endless? Nobody's got any money. You can't sell your house. You can't get out of town. You can't get a good job. You can't get a pay raise. And these people, this administration circumvents the city council by giving somebody huge stipends so they don't have to bring it before the council. And now the council in the Chamber of Horrors votes to take those stipends now and make them legal by putting them in to the salary.
It's a salary, exactly.
But what does that do? And this is what really, really drives me absolutely bonkers. It shows how little these, as a matter of fact, I left a message for a counselor about this. To no avail, I may add. And I didn't get a response. A while back, the retirement board voted down a stipend because someone who got a stipend, a political appointee again, got a stipend, and it had nothing to do with it. It had to do with the law. It didn't qualify as pensionable. So the board and the attorney, on the advice of our attorney, said this does not fall under the pensionable, so that stipend cannot be included for their pensions. So don't you know, a few months after that, they're going to roll everybody's stipend in so they don't get their stipends rejected. They're going to try to get them in their pay. And the council, who was irritated that he gave out all these stipends, now agree to make them part of their salary. And even though they're supposed to know, and I know at least one of them knew because I left a message, that once you put it in their salary, if it becomes pensionable, that increases the pension liability. And who was promoting rolling those things into their salaries? Kathy Ann Viveris.
And Mary
Sahadi. The two buffoons who are always screaming about the unfunded pension liability. And you know something?
Who, by the way, are also receiving stipends.
Who are also receiving stipends, yeah, and it'll go more into their bigger pensions, yeah. But the reality is, look, you want to do this, and if the people are willing to actually accept this, well, shame on you, people, if you're going to allow this council and these people to continue to pick your wallet clean and give their friends just ridiculous amounts of money for doing nothing and creating jobs. Okay, fine. That's not a problem. But you know what bothers me? Is when you have your cake and you get to eat it too. Kathy Ann and Mary Sahadi will be whining at the next budget hearings about the size of the unfunded liability, yet they said okay to move somebody's classification, and now they rolled these stipends in. So let me give you a quick example. These are not actual, this is just an example. For example, if all the stipends and the pay raises given, we'll make nice round small numbers. Let's say all the stipends given out over the course of the last administration and this administration come up to $100,000. Now it's rolled into their salary. And let's say that $100,000 people take top option, option A, they get 80%. So that means that by putting it in their salary rather than leaving it as a stipend and making it pensionable, that's $80,000 out of that $100,000 will go into their pensions. So if all those people retire and live 10 years, that's $800,000 more of liability on the pension system. And it never goes away. It's for perpetuity. Because the fact is, when they leave, somebody else will take their job, and that will be in their salary again. So when Mary Sahadi and Kathy Ann Viveris open their flaps at the budget and talk about unfunded liability, let's see if a city councilor has the courage, the brains, or the knowledge to call them.
Well,
call them. Why did you want to roll this into the salary and add to our pension liability when you're always complaining about it? You know why? The reason the pension system's in trouble is because of government. The city of Fall River didn't put in $89 million. They put in $89 million into this system between 2002 and 2012, less than New Bedford. They tanked the system by skimming from the system. They tanked the system by moving people's groups. They tanked the system by rolling these things in so their friends and they can get a bigger pension. They tank the system, then complain about it. That's what government does. And who suffers? The poor retiree who worked 40 years for chump change, secretaries in the city hall working for $35,000, and Mary Sahadi gets a $40,000 pay raise, and now they're living on, 60% of them are living on pensions less than $25,000 a year, which is smaller than some of the stipends given out. And then they're going to complain. And you know what will happen ultimately? They'll attempt to change the pension system to screw the pensioners. You think they'll care? They're not going to care. They're going to be getting about $120 grand for a pension. So if they lose $10,000 on their pension, what do they care? They're still making 3 times, 4 times what the average income in Fall River is. But what's going to happen to that person that's living on $25,000 a year if they lose $5,000 of their pension? This is the travesty here. You think I'm angry all the time? You're damn right I'm angry, and that's why. Because I have to see these people every day and listen to them when they're beside themselves because they can't pay their medical bills, they can't buy food, they can't pay their taxes anymore and their fees. And they put in 40 years. They went to work every day and earned their pension, and they're getting chump change. And I see these politicians and these political hacks getting more in stipends and switching jobs for more money and making more after 3 or 4 years of employment with the city of Fall River because they held a political sign than these people made in a lifetime of serving this city. So if you think I'm pissed, you're right.
Tell us how you really feel there, Chip. Tell us how you really feel. Well, you know, interestingly enough, you know, the tourist director position was tabled again.
Yeah. It should have been shredded.
Should have been shredded, exactly. But nobody, well, you know Steve Long doesn't have the backbone, and Derek Viveris just rolls into line.
No, I know that you're a healthcare professional, and you are totally qualified to determine if he has a backbone or not. But it's got nothing to do with backbone with him. He's so far in the tank for this administration that if Jazel decided to create a death camp somewhere in the city, he would be the only one in favor of it.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me either. But the thing is that, you know, you also have Derek Viveris, because it was granted a leave to withdraw, and they said no. You had 2. Sean Kadim and Brad Kilby said granted a leave to withdraw, and you had Derek Viveris and Steve Long, no surprise, said no, they don't want to leave to withdraw. And the vote was split that way because a city councilor, oh, who's that? Pamela Liberté LeBeau, couldn't show up yesterday. You're paid to show up. I don't want to hear, I got a family. I got things to do with my children. If you got things to do with your children, don't run for office.
Exactly. Exactly.
Your job is to be there.
Yeah. Who are you supposed to be? The representative of who?
The people.
There you go. There you go. But who cares about the people? You know, the bottom line is, look, we understand that there are, you know, you've had issues in your life and you have to choose between family. But, you know, the thing is, if you cannot commit to a job, you shouldn't take the job.
Exactly.
It's that simple. And especially when your job is so important that you represent the people of the city, a city that has no housing market, no nothing, and you weren't there to put the kibosh on the most ridiculous damn thing I've ever seen, a tourism director, for a city that is virtually in the top 3 in every negative category known to humanity. Who the hell is going to come here? You know, and I think it's kind of ironic and actually probably it really makes a lot of sense that our major tourist attraction is basically a serial killer.
Exactly. But, you know, the thing that bothers me is that Pamela Liberté LeBeau is also a realtor. She's a real estate agent. Okay? And you would think that this story about us being 288 in the housing market would be upsetting to her. And you know what, people, you know, realtors say, well, we're selling properties, but you're not selling them for what they're worth. People are losing their shirts on it.
Yeah.
Okay?
And they don't care. They're getting their commission.
Right. I know a home in Swansea, because Swansea's not doing much better than Fall River is. That is where that they want $400,000 for. They can't even get an offer of $200,000. That's a problem.
Yeah, we're fundamentally, Fall River is actually like polluting the entire area.
Polluting the market.
Because nobody wants to even be a satellite community around Fall River. It's getting so bad in this city that who wants to even come around? You know, they don't even want to be in the general area. And it's really disturbing because, you know, there's nothing being done. Look, is it a tremendously difficult problem? Do we have multiple problems? Yes, but they didn't happen overnight. We allowed this to happen gradually. It's going to take a long time to undo it, but we'll never undo it unless we begin addressing our problems. Real estate people don't care. They're selling houses in Westport, in Somerset, in Swansea, Rehoboth, and all in the general area.
And all they care about is their commission.
And all they care about, they're getting a commission. If they sell a house, yeah, granted, they would have probably made more money, but that's, you know, that's the entire area. I remember having an attorney telling me that he could have got a minimum of $1 million on a personal injury suit anywhere else in the state except Bristol County.
Right.
He said because even though this case is worth anywhere from $1 to $5 million anywhere else in the state of Massachusetts, if I try this case in Bristol County, I'm going to be lucky to get 10 grand.
Exactly.
He said because the people down there think $10,000 is like a lifetime stake. You know, and actually insurance companies actually plead that in court in personal injury cases because they know that the jury is, oh, we're going to give this person $10,000. Oh, my God. The guy lost both his limbs and you know, he's blind in one eye, and they're going to give him $10,000. And a jury will say, yeah. Well, the fact is that personal injury lawyers will tell you. And any personal injury lawyer that tells you that's not true is lying. Because if you look at the settlements of cases anywhere else in the state,
they're much higher than Bristol County.
5 times greater. Yes. And I mean, like I said, down here, $10,000, a $20,000 settlement they think it's what a score that is, they think. But if you go to other places, they go, well,
it's the same in our workers' compensation courts.
Yeah.
Our workers' compensation courts, now you're dealing with workers who are injured on the job.
Yeah.
Okay? In this part of the state, the payouts are very low. Very low.
Yeah.
Disgustingly low.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you just go over the state line to Rhode Island, all of a sudden, for the same injury, you're getting $100,000.
Yeah.
You go to Boston, you're getting $200,000. You go to Brockton, you're getting $150,000.
Yeah.
But in Fall River, in the Bristol County area, you're getting $25,000 to say lump it or leave it.
But you know what the moral of that story is, CJ? It shows what we've been saying on this show since the beginning. Follow the money. Who is exempt from this malaise? Who is exempt? The rest of everybody knows. The courts know. The workman's comp people say, oh, this is a depressed area. We give you a few dollars. You can survive here because nobody makes a lot of money, except who? Politicians and their friends.
If you work for the city.
And remember, if you're an administrator in this city, they go, oh, look, we can't pay them that money. We can't pay them that salary. We got to pay them what they pay in Boston and here and there. But you go to court, the court doesn't tell you, well, I'm going to give you your $1 million settlement because if you got this injury in Boston or any place outside of Bristol County, you'd get $1 million. Hey, take your 10 grand and beat it. Take your workman's comp check that's about a quarter you would have got anywhere else in the state and beat it. Everybody else is held under the thumb, and I forgot my
your fly swatter
sunflower swatter to get beat down. Everybody but the politicians and their friends. You wonder why Steve Long will vote for anything the mayor says? Either he or one of his friends might need a pay raise or a job someday, and he wants to be able to knock on a door and say, hey, remember me? Anything you did, I nodded my head. And as far as the other guys concerned, I'm not even sure. Did they check to see if he's an android?
I don't know.
Because he doesn't say a heck of a lot. He's been on that council for I don't know how long, but he doesn't even talk. I'm not sure if they have to program him before the meetings, but... this is what we elect, though. So, you own it. Now, I'll tell you right now, I voted for neither one. And I never will. So.
And that's what you get. But it's very, it's really sad that that's what's happening. It's just, like I said, it's the same with the home sales. Why is the property value, why is home selling so cheap? Because you allow your home to be sold cheap. I don't care what the real estate agent says. You say, I want $300,000 or $400,000, you get $300,000, $400,000. Sooner or later, it's going to come through. It has to. And if all the people who are selling property stuck together and just said, hey, the hell with this. My house would get $400,000 in Lakeville. My house would get $400,000 in Taunton. My house would get $400,000 in Brockton. I want $400,000 in Fall River. But the problem is, you don't stand up for what you think you're worth.
But you'll be waiting 25 years to sell it because there's no buyer that's going to come to the city and pay that money, and that's the reality. But, I have a friend, a good friend of mine, lives in Westport. He's got a really nice house, Put it on the market a while back when the market was kind of soft. Couldn't get his price. He was firm. He knew how much he wanted for that house, and they said, "Oh, we can't get it for you tomorrow." And you know what he said? "Okay, see you later. Take it off the market." Market's elevated again. He's going to put it back on the market now. He's going to get his price, like you said. Going to get your price. But the reality is you always got to take less in this city. You got to take less. Why? Not because you didn't put your money into your house, not because your house isn't worth it, but because we got drug addicts all over the city. We got crime. We're number one in crime. We're number one in everything. We got the worst housing market.
And we want to bring more drug addicts.
Because this is statistically, with every negative category, one of the worst places to live in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and even in the United States. So guess who suffers? The homeowners that can't get out of town. Because there are some people who will take it because they got good jobs and they got plenty of money in the bank. They'll take the hit just to get the hell out, and they'll go to another place and pay the price. They're not gonna be able to defray the cost of a new house like they should. But guess what? When you renew your house insurance, they charge you the replacement value. They don't tell you we're going to give you a break and give it to you for half price because your house isn't worth crap in Fall River. They're going to say, well, it'll cost us $400,000 to rebuild your house, so you got to insure yourself for $400,000.
Yeah, but they never pay you that, by the way.
That's right.
They never pay you that.
They don't.
They charge you to carry that amount of insurance.
Well, look what happened with the flood insurance. They said, or hurricane insurance. They were on TV. The insurance companies are dropping all these people now because they had, they had damage, because that's what insurance companies do best. They take your premiums for 20 years, and then when you finally do have an issue, they drop you. Oh, you collected from the insurance company. They're gonna raise your rates, and the second time you try to collect, they throw you out. So, but that's it. But look, this is why you got to be angry. You got to do something about our government. They're not addressing the problem. If they make Fall River a better place,
the biggest
if they
problem is they're not
address
voting.
this.
They're not voting.
Yeah, I know.
That's the problem. You're not voting. And when you vote for the same people.
That's right.
What are you expecting? Them to do something different? You vote for Leo Pelletier. Why? He does nothing different to go, hey, yeah, I'm there. Yeah, I got to vote for that. Yeah, I'm going to vote for that. Oh, I'll never go for pay as you throw, but he supports pay as you throw. Come on.
I didn't realize you did imitations. Pretty good. All right. Okay. But no.
These dems and does.
Let's look at the pragmatism of this. You put people in who are actually going to begin to turn this city around. There are things that people don't realize are affected. One is this: housing prices. If this city starts becoming a better city, starts to get back to being a normal city, because all larger cities have crime problems, but not to the extent we do. Portland, Maine, great example. Portland, Maine is one of the nicest mid-sized cities in the United States. They did a spectacular job in turning that city around, renovating their seaport, putting money into the community in the right places, and they turned that city into it was a real dump years ago, and I know it because my father was born in Maine, lived in Maine till he was 18, and then came to Fall River, and I used to go to Maine on vacation every year, still do, in the summer. I love southern Maine. I've seen Portland, I've seen the transition in Portland, Maine. Portland, Maine is a wonderful place to visit. Ask anybody who's been to Portland, Maine recently. It is a spectacularly nice city. Why? Because they did what they had to do to turn the city around. They didn't create, it's not about tourism directors. It's not about giving everybody a job and a stipend and paying them better than everybody else. It's about addressing the problems in the city, and they never do. They never do. When we stop leading the state in overdoses, we stop having shots fired every other week, when we stop losing our best and brightest, and we address these problems with work programs and with partnership programs and things that actually work and have been proven to work, then you see your housing market go up, because people then might want to come here. They'll say it's a city on the rise. They keep telling you that, look to the future. But the other promises they told you, the checks in the mail and a few others, that they never come back. Politicians that tell you it's going to get better in 4 or 5 years are full of crap. This city needs a triage, and CJ can explain triage to you. We're a patient, right now we're on the borderline of being a patient that's left to die, because you've got to treat somebody who you can save.
Black tag.
There you go. There's a medical professional. We need to triage this city, because we're close to the black tag. Because right now, we have to treat this city like a critical patient that needs a lot of attention to save it, and that's exactly what it is. And I'll tell you what, the political people that we've been electing for the last 10 years, 15 years, are just not doing the job. Look around, read the articles, try to sell your house, try to get a pay raise if you're not a political hack, and then tell me we're not right.
And it's your fault. Remember that, people. If you don't vote, it's your fault. So, hey, try to have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend. Enjoy the low humidity, everybody.
Yep. And remember, stay angry.
Be nice to open your windows at night.